we can either lift our hands to indicate that you're together. All right, find a comfortable position that you're in, whether you're standing or you're seated. Try and be upright. I'll invite all of us to close our eyes and to start breathing slowly. So with our eyes closed, let's have taken our first deep breath. Breath in, breath out. One more time, breath in, breath out. In once again, out. Now I invite us to just do a body check, to just check how you're feeling, to listen to your chest where your heart is beating. How is your heart beating? Is it slow or fast? How are you feeling in your head? Is it quiet or loud? And even your body. How is your neck feeling? Just try and roll it from side to side. How does your neck feel? And then moving on to our shoulders, how do your shoulders feel? How does your back feel? From the top of it to the bottom, to where it connects to the seat. Is it or feeling tense? Listen to your body. What is it telling you? On the ground, if they are, how do you feel being on the ground? Your arms, if they're outstretched, how does your finger feel like? How do your fingers feel like? How do your arms on your elbow, how does it feel when you stretch it out? How does it feel? And then I invite us to once again just breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose again, hold it, breathe out, one more time, in, hold it, out, 3, 2, 1. I welcome you back to the session. Are we back?
Yeah, back.
Now I invite you to just type in what feeling you have, how you're coming into this meeting today. Just you can write it either one word or a sentence in the chat. If you wish to just to speak it, you can open your mic and just speak. Beryl is feeling energized. Thank you, Beryl. Anyone else would like to share? Anyone else?
Ambo.
Go ahead, eat. Dixon is feeling exhausted. Pius is happy to be here. Alfayo is feeling cool.
Berapa enam? Kamu cendang apa dah puas Kamu asal.
Thank you all so much. Invite and in chat. Oh, thank you, Jeremiah. You're feeling relaxed. I'd like us to pick up from where we left from yesterday. Thank you, Winnie, for sharing. Winnie is feeling glad. And we ended with the relationship circle. And what we were looking at the relationship circle in the relationship circle is as teachers, who are the people that we relate with. If you're a class teacher, who is in your innermost circle? We looked at 4 circles. The innermost circle, these are people who are closest, who are most closest to us. The inner circle, the second circle, it's the people who we interact with, but we are not as close to. And then we have the outer circle. These are people we are acquainted with, we interact with, but not so much. And also, we have the outermost circle. These are people who we barely have any interaction with, but we know and we are associated with them. And in the school environment, how does that look like for you? If, for example, if you're a teacher, maybe the administration could be in your outermost circle because maybe you interact with them in a through the head of department, for example, or if it's if you're the school administrator, maybe in your outer circle, it's the students or the learners who are in your outermost circle, because ideally it's in your school, maybe it's the class teacher who handles and interacts with them mostly. So how do your inner circles, how do your relationship circles look like? I open the floor to anyone who would like to share their circle.
Abdul.
And you can type in your chat, in the chat, how just in order of how your circle looks like.
Halo.
Yes, Kid, we can hear you. Go ahead, Kid. Give me a minute.
Farah.
Id, are you sharing?
Yes, madam. Hi.
Okay, please go ahead and share your circle.
Pada.
Please share with us how your relationship circle looks like.
Okay, let me get a dusting cloth. As I'm on the road.
Oh, no problem. Anyone who'd like to go? Yes, Pius, please go ahead.
Okay, I would like to share a little bit about the circle. The circles that I have, my innermost circle consists of the prefect and the monitor, because we really talk about what's happening in their duties. So we interact mostly. The second circle is consisting of the other pupils, because not really into me in matters like I would like to see discipline, so I keep them a little bit, but not really very far. Then the teachers are in the third part, the outer circle, because we have personalities, and somebody might not be the one that you would like really to open up to, and also you keep them at a professional level. Then I have the administration is the outermost circle, because we really don't have to interact, if not on the matters of payments and how to run the school. So as a teacher, I would like to say that mine is the prefect and the person that we help one another to help the fellow pupils. They learn, and then we talk mostly with the prefect and the monitor. Second circle is the pupils themselves, the others, not the prefect and the monitor. And then we also have the outer, and then the outer is the teachers, and then the administration comes in my most outer circle. Thank you.
Just if you can just come and greet them on Sunday, on 27th.
Thank you so
Sunday.
much, Pius, for sharing. Id, your mic is on, and please mute it if you're not contributing to this.
Just say hi to them.
Yeah.
Ana mambo mengi.
Haina shida. Ndio kubwa namlet.
Yes, Aurelia, please go ahead. Anyone else would like to share the relationship circle or have any question from yesterday's session? Aurelia, you're speaking, but we cannot hear you. Aswani, would you like to share? Or Beryl or Alfayo? Please let's with are we all comfortable moving to the next part?
Yes, we can go on.
What is your relationship circle? How does it look like, Elijah? Susie, you want to share? All right, thank you all who shared. Before we start today's session, I want us to turn on our mics and just say hi, because I'd like to see you. I've missed seeing your faces. So please, let's turn on our mics and then we can continue. I see you, Pius. Hi.
Hi.
People, where are you?
Hi.
Dixon, you're on the road. Please show us your roads. Yes, people, let's turn on our mics. I can only see one person. And we're about to start. Aswani?
Hi.
Hi. I cannot see you.
Hi, Jay. Can you see me now?
No problem, Susie. Good to see you, Beryl. Hi. How are you, Elijah? Good to see you. Aurelia, waiting for you. Edwin, waiting to see you. Evans, waiting to see you. Alfayo, waiting to see you. I'm waiting to see all of you guys before we start. And hi. Unachunga ng'ombe? Swani, thank you so much. Nice, nice. Good to see you, Swani. All right, thank you so much. I now welcome Salim Charles to.
Hi.
Hi.
Nikoaje?
Tuko poa.
Yeah, niko poa. Evans.
Thank you everyone. Because of the interest of time,
Yes.
I would like us to jump on to today's session. I was so happy to hear, Pius relationship circle and how you defined it in detail and the people that you interact with. And that's very essential. Understanding, who is in the inner circle, who is in the outer circle, who is in the outer, innermost circle, and all those kind of things. Because in that way, then you are able to know how do you design your relationship with them, how do you interact with them, and pressure ya nani pia ni mingi kuliko ya nani. So I like what you said. So today, just to do a recap from yesterday. So yesterday we introduced you to peace building. We were introduced to peace building, and we defined what peace building is. When we talked about that, it's absence of violence and absence of fear of violence. And that is a very essential part in understanding what peace is. Then we talked about peace building, and the difference between peace building, peacemaking, and peacekeeping. And peace building, we said that it's more of a passive, very passive. These are skills. You are learning about skills on how to, to work and connect with others, and which is very essential. While the other, peacekeeping is more military kind of. It's more military. It's you're having police to go and keep, you can have police force, you can have military force and all those kind of elements. Like for example, we see the Kenyan police who have been deployed to Haiti to go to do peacekeeping in Haiti. All that kind of process. So this is more of military, it's more of giving assistance, it's more of, humanitarian. While we talked about peacemaking, this is more mediation, reconciliation. It's very important for you to know that. And remember, you going through this course, you are not just a normal teacher. You are a teacher who has skills to, skills to train on peace, to train on reconciliation, to train on conflict, to train on all this. Then we talked about self-awareness, and we emphasized the importance of self-awareness. And as a peace builder and as a teacher, understanding who you are is very critical. And I shared the 4 windows of the Johari. We shared the Johari window, which talks about the hidden, the blind, the open, and those kind of the unknown and the known, and why that is important. And Grace, my colleague, emphasized that when we talk about the hidden, the last window, this you don't, it's more for you to start looking at the potentials that you have and all that. And we talked about now relationship circle and why that is important. And so today we are going to talk about communication. So I'll be introducing you to communication and why communication is key in terms of peace building work. Why is it important for us to learn about communication, and how does it support us, and all those kind of things? How is communication essential in our work as teachers, as now peace builders that we are now becoming? I hope you can be able to see my screen. I don't want to open things that are not there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's clear.
I need to make the screen. Can you see it now? Sorry.
Yes,
Yes, it is clear. It is clear.
Clear.
Okay. I'm just trying to try to make it full. Great. Right. So it's okay now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Great. And so today is day 2 of our virtual peace building workshop. And thank you for everyone who has been, attending, who has attended this session since yesterday. And so in this session, in the next couple of minutes, 1 hour or so, we'll be looking at active listening, asking questions, and nonviolent communication. It's very essential as peace builders for us to be able to understand, to have skills, active listening skills, and skills to ask effective questions and nonviolent communication. And so we'll start with active listening. And so, like I mentioned, active listening is a very important aspect and key. It's very key to, for us who are in peace building, and even for teachers. If you are a teacher, you need to have the right skills. You need to listen to your learners properly for you to understand the kind of problem they have. And so when we practice active listening, it means we are fully focusing and understanding and responding to what we are hearing and what we are listening to. We are, to the message, what the person, the speaker is saying, rather than planning to what we say next. Most of the time, we listen we listen to speak. Like, for example, if someone is telling you something, you're already forming opinion in your mouth, in your mind, and your mouth is even, wants to speak haraka. So you have not even heard what that person wanted to say. So you already have an answer before even that person finishes what they wanted to say. And so as peace builders, we need to develop key skills to be able to effectively practice active listening, especially in the context of conflict. And I know you deal with a lot of conflict issues in your schools. Watoto wamepigana, mtoto amekuja shuleni, perhaps hakukula, those kind of things. The kid didn't do homework and all those kind of, scenarios. And so you need these skills. And so some skills, some of the skills we need to acquire is also maintaining eye contact. If we are doing the in-person training, this will be more fun, but in August we'll do it even more. So, you need to look people in the eye, when they are talking to you. And also you need to, show some nonverbal cues like nodding and avoiding interruption. Ushaienda kwa ofisi ya head teacher unamwambia kitu, but they're opening drawers and looking for stuff. And you're explaining to them, or a kid comes to the staff room and they're telling you something, but you're actually talking to your colleague, or you're looking into your books, or assignments that have not been done, and all those kind of things. So that sometimes it shows that, we are not interested in what the person is saying. Also, there is importance of paraphrasing what you are hearing to make sure that you understand. And so it's important that you also know, these skills are very key. And so right now we are going to look at some of the skills. This is not clear, but I'm sure Grace will send you in your groups. Sorry, Grace will send you in your groups. So we have 7 techniques for active listening that we talk about. Sorry, 6 techniques of active listening. So one of the techniques, the first technique is encouraging. So when someone is speaking, you need to encourage them to speak more. And that is by, conveying interest. The purpose is to convey interest, to let the person speak more. And you could do that by not agreeing or disagreeing to what they're saying, and using non-committal words with a positive tone of voice. And example, when someone is saying about something, like for example, there's someone who said in the chat, when Grace was reading about, when Grace asked you, how are you feeling, or how are you showing up? And I'm not sure. Someone said, maybe exalted or something. I can't remember the exact words. And so if Grace wanted to have this conversation to go on, perhaps you will say, oh, I see, or if someone said, or today, we had a new teacher coming in, Grace could probably say, oh, that's interesting, and even say, that is, it's showing that you want that person to keep on talking. The other technique, the second technique is eliciting. And so eliciting, from the word elicit is to gather relevant information. You're encouraging the speaker to, reveal their needs and concerns. And you're creating that climate of open conversation, open dialogue. So you're encouraging them to speak more. And in this, it's about asking open-ended questions, not leading questions, and you're not agreeing or disagreeing. And I'll tell you what, when a student or someone that is facing a situation comes to you, what is very key is you not agreeing or disagreeing. And that doesn't mean that you are not validating the emotions. And we'll talk about it pale chini. So it shows that, because when you agree, it has a repercussion. Or, and also when you disagree, it also has, consequences to all that. Then, so this you could do by saying, oh, what concern does that situation cause for you? You know, like let's say someone says, oh, you know, you moved, you know, from Bukura, and now it's, you know, we moved from Bukura, and that's why, you know, maybe I'm late to school. Or we moved from Wisero, that's why. So someone will say, oh, and what concern does that situation cause for you? You know, no, so the concern will be, for example, you know, I have to wake up early, and perhaps our piki boda guys wake up late, and so I have to call someone to come and pick me, and those kind of things. Now you are trying, you know, you are making these people, this person speak more. And then you could even ask, why is that an important issue for you? You know, and you could say, you know, I am, you know, I'm key in my school, and me coming late is a very, you know, it's a critical thing, and all those kind of things. And then the other question will be, how will you rather affect your interest? So it's just you looking at the right, and this is not like, you know, a marking scheme, like you have to ask these specific questions, but this is just a guideline for you to be able to understand. The other technique is clarifying. And because sometimes when people are saying something, it's there are things that sometimes you might not have understood. And also there are some underlying issues underneath what people are saying, or unrelated concerns. And so you want, as someone who is listening, you want to pick out the ambiguous statements and clear ambiguous statements and get the clear. So let's say we are talking about a teacher not performing, and you are, let's say you are the school admin or you are the school director. So you have gone to a teacher, you know, you have come to Grace, who is a teacher, and she's not performing. And you're asking her, oh, Grace, why are you not performing? And perhaps Grace says, you know, something, you know, I don't like the way, you know, people have complained about the way you treat teachers. But, you know, that's not the question you have asked Grace. The question is, why are you not performing? You know, or she could even bring something else, you know, something that is completely unrelated. You could even talk about economy, and we have this a lot in the staff room, where a teacher will answer something, you know, they will bring out emotions that are not there. You know, so you, and how you also engage this for you to be able to clarify situations is you avoid frequent interruptions. Ushaenda kwa ofisi, or someone is talking to you, or you are talking to someone, and you are talking, but they're interrupting all the time. They're interrupting all the time, you know. And also you need to be able to ask focused but open-ended question. So it's focused. Also, you don't get into the emotions. You are asking focused and open-ended questions, you know. And you're probing for full explanation. You want to know more, but only what is related to the conversation. And you could ask this, you know, you could clarify a conversation by, you know, say, oh, I'm not sure what you mean by this. You know, I'm not sure what you mean by, you know, I don't, the school doesn't take care of its teachers, for example. Or could you please explain more about the significance of this and how it relates to you not performing? So you want to start removing, you know, anything that is not related to the conversation. And then also the other question that you could even ask is, what leads you to believe, you know, what you just said? What makes leads you to believe what you just said? So you are trying to lead this conversation in the right way, framing this conversation in the right space. The other, the fourth element is, or the fourth technique is empathizing. Now, there is a difference between sympathizing and empathy. Empathy is putting yourself in the shoes, or in the you know, understanding events from others' perspective. You know, it's like you are the one going through that. So it is to show that you respect their point of view and comprehend their feelings. Now, this is different from sympathizing. You know, sympathy, this is now what I was talking about. Sympathy comes with agreeing and disagreeing. Una feel, oh, now if I listen without saying anything, this person ataona ni kama, you know, I'm not helping them. No, now empathy is different. so you don't have to agree or disagree. Because sometimes, for example, when someone is sharing like, I lost my parent, and then you say something, then instead of that situation helping or your statement helping them, it's actually adding more emotional or even more trauma to them. Now, sympathizing is different. It's you recognizing others' experiences as valid without necessarily accepting their conclusion. So if someone says, I've been receiving bad treatment from the head teacher, and that's why I will not be doing my work. Now, you empathizing with them on this aspect that they have been receiving bad treatment from the head teacher is okay, but you now saying, oh yeah, it's good, don't even deliver, those kind of things, it's even now making it worse. So you are not accepting their conclusion, but validating what they are saying. You are giving acknowledgement rather than an agreement. And some of the examples that you can use, is I see why you feel that way. Those kind of things, and continuing. That must have been very disturbing for you. So it's very general, but also very specific. I understand how you could perceive that as a threat. Those kind of, and you can come up with so many other examples as you continue learning about effective communication. The other aspect that is very key when you're having conversation, and especially in conflict context, is summarizing. To pull important ideas and information together. So you are summarizing. So someone have said so many things, then now you want to pull this information together, the important, to establish the basis for further conversation. So if you want this conversation to move forward, you want to summarize what you have understood. You want to review the issues that have been raised. You want to highlight the most important matters, and you also want to set away anything that is not key. And so how you say this, sometimes you could even say, this seems to be the key ideas you have expressed to me. So you start stating, what are the key ideas that are coming out? Or perhaps you could say, so your view of this whole situation is that the school, is not providing this or this. So you want to be able to be sure that this is what you have heard and not what, and most of the time we do that a lot. And in our training, we discourage, for example, when a participant or someone in the meeting and someone says something, or he has responded to something, and then you come in and say, oh, I think Grace wanted to say this. It's wrong. Professionally, it's completely wrong. So don't, ever come, don't come and say, oh, I think Grace was saying this. No. So it's you, if you summarize in a way and say, is this what I'm hearing, for example? I know I'm sensing that the critical concern you have are, is this what I'm hearing? Is this what you're saying? Instead of saying, I think this is what Grace wanted to say. Those are very, you want to create a staff room that is very safe, and this applies a lot, especially to, the directors who are in this call, and the admins, you want to create that environment that people want to speak more. And then reframing, you want to transition from problem solving into problem solving, and refocusing discussion from past events to future goals. So the teacher have said this, this is the situation. Now, instead of dwelling on that situation, how then do you now reframe this conversation and now focus on the future? So you have said this is the situation. How do we move forward? How do we encourage others to rethink positions and focus on interest? How do we redirect negative or, adversarial statement into productive way of engagement? So building on others' ideas in developing your proposal. So you have listened, especially if you and not just for head teachers and school admins and administrators, but you even as a teacher, and this could be a concern from your learners, this could be a concern from the parents. Then how do you build on those ideas? Like even when, let's say, you're having academic day, or you're having, yes, academic day, and their teachers, parents who are saying, our kids have not been performing well, those are the issues. Then now, how do you reframe that conversation as the moderator, as the teacher, and into developing proposal in how you can be able to engage with them? How do you emphasize importance of agreement and compatibility and shared interest? So this is the concern, that the kids did not perform well. Completely, we do agree. And, we all both agree that did not happen, or we all agree that has not happened. But are there ways that we can be able to support our kids to perform well next term? So we're moving to that angle. Use neutral or positive rather than accusatory language. Instead of saying, Baba Nani, Baba Grace or Baba Charles, you are complaining the kids are not performing well, you have not paid school fees, your kid comes late. Now, you have changed that environment completely. So the issue is not, you are not even addressing the issue of the kids not performing well. You are now starting accusing figures. You are now starting blaming the parents, or the kids, they don't pay school fees, they don't do that. But you see, the issue of school fees could come in later after you have made an agreement and say, and also now to support what you have agreed, I'm calling upon our parents to also honor their part. How can we now also ensure that school fees is paid on time? And because also this delays a lot of our work. So now you're moving from a positive, and even the parents will see, but if you now start accusing them and, all those kind of things, then that becomes a problem. Or even, like, for example, the example that we had yesterday about a teacher mocking. So again, now imagine when you are not active listener, and you remember what we talked about yesterday, that you have to document these events and you have to talk in the right way. So if you're not a good listener, you will start accusing this person instead of looking for the right solution in the future. Explain how your proposal satisfy, both the needs and everybody who is involved. And you could see, an example of how you can move your conversation forward is, that's an intriguing thought. For example, you could even say that's a very intriguing thought. And I really want us to discuss more about that. Or to carry it further, let me suggest this. Now, to carry this conversation about, kids' performance or learners' performance, I'm suggesting that perhaps we have two representatives, or we write down our thoughts and then we come in. I'm suggesting we finish with this and then we come to this. So this helps you a lot in terms of understanding all that. The other thing could be, since we both value, for example, you could say, since we both value our children education and performance, will it make sense to, now you are starting to move, will it make sense to, let's say, will it make sense to have remedial over the weekend, for my class? Will it make sense to extend the lesson, our lessons with 1 hour, to see what we have not been able to cover? Will it make sense to do this? Will it make, you are starting to move your conversation in a way that is respectful, and it validates the feelings of the parents. You could even just say, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but I'm glad you raised the issue. Let's now see how we can be able to work together. I'm sorry that you feel your kids are not performing. I'm sorry that you feel the teachers have not been doing anything, and even just repeating the word that I said. Now, but I'm glad you have raised this issue in this forum, because now this gives us an opportunity to design how we want to, move forward and work together. Yes, any question before I continue? Is this helpful when we discuss about this? Anyone?
Yes, it is very helpful. And but I have a question concerning the same. When someone raises something, maybe they are feeling dissatisfied about something, but the approach is also not very good. How do you go about that? When someone is not behaving very civilized, how do you really calm them down and then try to push this sense into them? Thank you.
Thank you, Pius. That's a very good question. And I think that happens a lot, especially in the context and where we are. Remember what we talked about self-awareness. And, and this is, what I'm going to say is not, the only solution. And depending on how the situation is and the context of the conversation, you could look at, other means that you can be able to address that. But perhaps, you saying, or even just saying, I don't think you're in the right state of mind for us to have this conversation. Either, Mwalim, I don't think you're in the right state of mind, or parent, I don't think this is the right forum for us to have this conversation. Can I propose for us to maybe engage at a later date or later on when it's calm, And the other thing which, we'll be able to talk about, even just saying, because sometimes, when you say it in an uncouth manner, it means that the problem is not you. You remember what we talked about. The problem is them. And so, also you trying to help them, even looking at them and just saying, well, I have a feeling that you are not okay. And I think having this conversation might just escalate these issues. Is there something else that you'd like us to discuss before we address this? So it also depends on the relationship that you have with that person, either if it's parent or a pupil or anybody. It depends on the kind of relationship you have. So also you have to be able to measure how have you been engaging with them. But don't ever engage in a conversation when you feel it's not safe for you. I say that a lot, when you feel it's not safe for you. And sometimes people will force, we have to talk about it now. We have to talk, no. And it's even okay to walk out, and people say, you walked out because you want to have you want to have a conversation that is also good for you mentally and good for them and all that. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Grace, do you have any discussion in the chat? Great.
No.
So we'll move. Thank you, Grace. So we'll move. Now we have talked about active listening, and very critical. Now we are going to talk about asking questions. And so asking effective questions is very critical. Can someone is talking in the background? Can you mute? Grace, can you help me to mute someone who is? So active, effective. Id Suya, can you mute? Grace, can you help me to mute Id? So asking effective questions is very key in peace building and in teaching. Asking effective questions is very key in peace building and teaching. And sometimes sometimes we'll just ask a question, but we have not paid attention to the emotional well-being and mental well-being of the people that we are asking these kind of questions. And so I want to ask a very simple, a quick question. How many types of questions do we have? How many types of questions do we have? You can chat, or you can speak, you can mute, unmute, and then speak. Anyone? How many types of questions do we have? Are we there? So there is yes or no question, open-ended. Someone said 3. Pius, could you tell us the 3 types of questions?
Yeah, we have open-ended questions. We also have yes, no questions. And also we have the close. Sorry for that.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I like this from
Yes.
Dixon, rhetorical questions. You know, most of the time, even our parents will say, that's a very rhetorical question. Can you, please, let's go. And even you teachers will say, that is a rhetorical question. And if a student asks you a question when you are teaching or those kind of things. So we have three types of questions. We have open-ended, like Pius rightfully said. We have closed-ended question, which closed-ended, open-ended question gives room for more conversation, gives room for people to, to speak more. Then we have, closed-ended that doesn't give room for, more questions or more answers. It's no or yes. And then we have another question that is leading question. So the leading question, it's, leading question, it shows the biasness of the asker, the person who is asking the question, because he's asking a question that, he is expecting a certain answer from you. So ni kama mtu anakuuliza kitu but anataka umujibu njia fulani. And then we have the why question. So from these questions that we have talked about, which type of question do you think it's appropriate when it comes to having that creates a safe environment for you to have conversation? Which type of question?
Open-ended.
Yes, Beryl, open-ended. So open-ended question, it gives room for, someone to speak more, and someone gives room for more ideas, And sometimes close-ended question is not bad. However, it depends with the context, it depends with the context. For example, if you ask something that you don't need more explanation, perhaps someone could just, answer directly. So let me ask this question. Why are you here? Why are you in this call? Why are you in this training?
To improve my skills.
Someone else? Another person?
To learn more about peace building.
Anyone else? We have 11 people in this call, in this workshop. Anyone else from the remaining none? Now, that question that I just asked, how did it make you feel? How did that question make you feel? How did that question make you feel? Yeah, thank you, Susie, for your answer in the chat. How did that question make you feel? Anyone? Anyone?
Susie says demeaning in the chat.
Someone else? Great. So using what Susie has said, so most of the time when you use the why question, it brings us to defensive. To defensive. Yes, bias. It feels like you're being interrogated. So you start looking for, how do I answer that question? So, it makes you start being defensive. Like, oh, so I'm not, what Susie said. So they're not saying my word. Why are they, asking, why am I here? Those kind of, so there are a lot of questions that, that you start asking yourself, even before you respond. It's like, okay, why will he ask that kind of a question? And then, so when you are responding, you are now be defensive. You know, I am here because I want to learn. I am here because I am here, so all the time. And if you do self-reflection on how you interact with your learners and the times, or even, and Susie that deals with clients, anytime you have ever asked with a question like, started a question with why, and you look at their face, you will find that, even the way they will respond will be very different. And so in conflict context and in a school-based environment, in a school context rather, it's important that we practice open-ended questions. It's good that we practice open-ended questions. I know most of the time, the teacher on duty will ask a student, why are you late? And that student will start, collecting reasons why they are late. But imagine if you asked an open-ended question, if you trained your children about, the right skills and all that, and you ask an open-ended question, you'll even realize that this child probably is late because of this and this and this. Why did you fail? Why did you do this? You have been performing well. Why are you failing in this? So the child now start looking, and that environment also makes them start, Susie said, demeaning, like it's an interrogating what Paya said. So you're putting the kid or you're putting your colleague on the defensive, and all that. Why is the duty not being followed, for example? All those kind of things. But sometimes, why the why question is not always bad. Again, it depends on the context. So before you ask any kind of question, look at the context. What is the context? And how will people perceive the kind of question that you are asking? What kind of response? Always ask yourself this question, dear teachers. Like, what do I want? What is the essence of my question? What do I want to gain or to get from this question I'm going to ask? What is the reason? Why am I asking this question? Why am I asking this question? That is very important, so that you are able to know the kind of response that you shall get. So that is very key to understand all that. So asking effective question is very important. So the essence of your question should be for dialogue. The essence of your question should be for dialogue. And also, to have deeper understanding of issues. Have deeper understanding of issues. If you are counseling and guidance teacher, you'll not just ask any question. You'll ask a question that you want to delve deeper into the situation. If you're resolving a conflict between parents, unapata maybe a learner has been coming to school, hajaoga, hajafanya nini, amekuwa mchafu, and you want to address that with their parents. When they come, Exactly. Yeah, may I understand the reason for your lateness or underperformance? That's a very good question, Susie. Now that student will start responding. And utaona ameanza kusema, they will open up. They will open up. Or even that teacher will open up. The teacher might even say, Mwalimu, I'm having some marital issues at home. And that's why I am late. I've not been performing very well lately. A kid will even say, I had to go and fetch water, or there was floods, or this and this, or electricity iliisha home. And, when I woke up, I had to, all those kind of elements. Now you're finding a way to help this kid. And you're also helping them that they become responsible. Now, this child will not just be responding for the sake of it. You are creating an environment for further conversation and further dialogue. Those kind of things. And so understanding deeper, like I was saying, having deeper conversation, understanding issues deeper, and those who does psychology will tell you, like, you don't just ask questions for the sake of it. You want to understand deeper issues. And so the example I was giving, if let's say a child has been coming to school, ni mchafu, uniform imeraruka na hizo vitu zote, and in your wisdom, you feel like there is a problem with their parent, and perhaps now you want to bring their parents to school. So you framing the kind of question, you framing the right question is very important. If you ask any question, what is the essence of that question? What do you want to achieve with it? Instead of bringing those, and then you're starting to accuse the mother, you're accusing the father. No, you are creating that environment, the right environment for them to engage in. Now, people will open up. When you have the right conversation with people, they will open up. They will open up. Believe me, they will be able to open up. So that is very important. And, the question that I just asked, why are you in this session? And, it's different. For example, it's very different, because it's, how are you feeling today? It's, it's asking you to, to share more about your feeling, about, everything. And you see the kind of examples and the kind of responses that were in the chat. Sawa, any question? Any question or comment? Walimu, tafadhali tu niongelesheni ndo nijue mko hapo. Grace, I might be speaking alone.
They say following Tuko. Wako. Good explanation.
Great.
The right questions are very interesting. Asking the right questions is very interesting, because you get what you really, you put the person in a position or a situation where they can actually give their views, give their position without having restriction to tell you something.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Evan says, good explained, it's well understood. To Corada from Susan and Alfayo, it's well understood. Thank you. Thank you so much. And so I'm not sure how much time we have, Grace, because I wanted to have people in their groups, in groups rather, but you can craft this. Are we able to put people in groups? We had not created groups earlier on.
Yes, we can. I can have them in random breakout rooms.
Okay, if you can do that, maybe just in 2 minutes, they can get into maybe 5 minutes. And the first group will have the first question. A fellow teacher disagrees with the approach to school discipline, classroom discipline. And they are saying they feel that your method are too lenient, while you believe in fostering a more supportive environment. And so what you're going to do, you are coming up with open-ended, non-leading, and open-ended, non-leading question, and non-why, non-closed question. So it's open-ended, and you're coming up with 3 questions from that. So from each of the scenarios. Grace, let me know if you're able to take people to.
Yes, open-ended, non-leading.
Thank you, Susan. Yeah.
All right, they're all open now.
Okay, so you can join. Everybody's in group?
Yes, none have joined yet.
Please, let's join our groups. I see there is group 1, 2, 3, 4. They are joining.
Yes. Dixon, Edwin, Ed, Jeremiah, Alfayo, Aurelia, and Evans.
So do they need the question So you have the questions. The group 2, it's during at present, you give them the question. Everybody, yeah, because I'm seeing John Mark in the room with Susie in group 2. So let me stop sharing and
Dixon, please join room 1. Room 3 is full. Room 2, Atwani and 8, John Mark and Susie are waiting for you.
so are you able to give, can I join room 2?
Eid, Aswani, are you able to join the rooms? Aswani?
Grace, for group 3,
Yes.
do they have the question?
I'm trying to look for a place where I can get some good network.
No. All
So I
right.
just put in the chat. Can I put in the, can they see?
Yes, they'll be able to see.
Yeah, so the first question is for group 1. The second one is for group 2. The other one is for group 3. I can join group 3. Is there group 3?
Yes. Aswani, if you're able to type in or to develop any of the questions, feel free and do it in the chat.
Grace, did you give to group 1?
No, you in the room.
Oh, I didn't go to group 1. So it is a fellow teacher. I can't see the groups. Where are the groups? Because I can't. So Grace, we should give them 3 more minutes, then you bring them back, right?
All right.
Okay, thank you. Grace, let's bring them back. So welcome back everyone. I think we had a technical issues kidogo. So group one, if there is a representative from group one, kindly share with us your questions, the 3 questions that you came up with. Anyone from group one?
Yeah, we got Beryl going to present for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have someone, Edwin?
Yeah, welcome, madam.
Okay. Beryl, kindly share. Beryl?
Yes.
Kindly share with us your 3 questions.
We had a problem. We did not get the question clearly, so we were fumbling. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
We were fumbling, but we were reminding ourselves of the open-ended.
Okay, can we get a representative from group 2 to share their questions?
Yes.
And perhaps it could refresh your mind. Yeah, group 2.
Okay, group 2. I think group 2 means room 2.
Yes, it's your group, John Mark.
Okay. So our open-ended question was because our question was let me just a minute. Okay. So our question was during a recent parent-teacher meeting, a parent expresses frustration over what they perceive as lack of attention to their child's progress. They feel the teacher isn't doing enough to support their child's academically. And our thinking was that now this is in terms of performance yenye mzazi anaona mtoto anaendelea. So our questions are these. For the open-ended, it is may I understand the reason to my child's dropping performance? And then for closed-ended, we came up with at least 2. Does it mean my child is not doing the assignments? Or is it that because I don't pay school fees? Then the leading question was, does it mean that teachers don't teach well? Yes, I think that was our deliberations.
Interesting. Now, the instructions were that you come up with 3 questions that are open-ended and non-leading.
Oh, see, we did the...
Yes. So
okay.
you got the first one correct. But also,
okay.
it's something that we can, you can refresh, and you can also in the group, we can discuss more on how to construct the 2 other questions to be open-ended.
Okay.
Yeah. Group 3. Group 3. Anyone from group 3?
Okay, in group 3, we had our question was I cannot really retrieve it here, but I have it. It was talking about when your colleagues are complaining that you don't add more project-based learning, citing that it's going to take a lot of time and it's going to hinder the work of the other subjects. So one question was, how can we include project-based, using the time frame given, how can we include project-based learning in our curriculum?
The second one?
What can we do? I can't really figure it out, but I had typed. I don't know the chat. I don't know how to retrieve the chat. Maybe my colleagues can help me.
Pius colleague, kindly help him. Pius group members. Pius group members. Anyone from Pius group? Great. So we can still have those conversations as we continue in our, even within our WhatsApp group. And even when we meet, we'll be able to discuss more on how, we can always reframe, have the right questions. So, and this is just for practice, for you to be able to know how to, have the right questions all the time. So this is just, for you to practice more. So we are going to have the last part of our session, and we are introducing you to nonviolent communication. And so what we are saying that nonviolent communication creates an environment where everyone feels valued and able to express themselves without fear of judgment or retaliating or reducing misunderstanding or conflict between stakeholders involved. And so what we need to be able to cultivate all the time, and it's what we have been talking about, creating that safe environment and where your fellow teachers or learners or anybody that you are in conversation with, especially in the conflict context, they don't feel judged, or they don't feel like, the conversation is being reduced to misunderstanding and all that. And there are different steps to nonviolent communication. The first one is, this includes, observing without judgment, communicating needs, making requests, and expressing feelings. And you remember our, 6 active listening techniques, and it connects very well with nonviolent communication. And even like I said, even with the 6 techniques, it's not just like this is the marking scheme. Like, I just going to sit there and nod my head and do this. No, you have to listen with your heart. You have to have that intention. Listen with the intent, and have that conversation. Listen be open-minded, because most of the time when we, get into conversation, there are a lot of things that are happening in our head. There are a lot of things that we are thinking about. Perhaps we are thinking about next term, even when we're in this training. We are thinking about our children. We are thinking about our promotion and all those kind of things. And all these kind of conversation are coming in your head. And so you being able to listen with intent and being actively listen to what the people you're engaging in are saying, then it helps you, have that be able to observe without judgment. And when you talk about these 4 things that I just mentioned, it's simply, when you are talking about observation, is, describe what you see or hear without judgment. What are you, and you remember what we talked about with active listening. What exactly are you hearing? An example could be, I noticed that you raised your hand several times during the discussion. So that is observation. And you're also now looking at, the behaviors and all that. I noticed you raised your hand. Like, it could even be a student. Like, when you are teaching, you notice there is a kid who is raising their hand severally. And so, you being able to create, instead of saying, why are you raising your hand? Just by saying, I noticed, John Mark, you raised your hand severally during the lesson. Or, when I was doing this, is there something that you like to talk about? That helps you to be able to create an environment where someone is open. And also just, feeling, where you can be able to express feeling, express how you feel about the observation. An example could be, I feel concerned because your idea were not acknowledged. I feel concerned because your idea were not acknowledged. And so this, now you are creating an environment, perhaps could be in a staff room environment where a fellow teacher said something and you observed, and you now coming to talk to them, I feel concerned because your ideas were not acknowledged. And so you are creating room for them perhaps to even speak more and all that. And then the need, set the need that is connected to your feeling. Even when you are speaking, when you are sharing, perhaps in the staff room, or with your colleagues, with parents, or even with the client, it could be, I need everyone to feel heard or respected in our classroom. So let's say you are creating the classroom rules. And remember what we talked about, that we have whatever the school have decided, this is what we are going to do, but there is also a way that you want your class to be. So maybe let's say next week you're opening the class, the school, sorry. And so the first lesson will be that we are now going to design how this term will look like. And and even just say, example could be, I need, this term, I need everyone to feel heard and respected in our classroom. And so I want everybody to be involved. And you remember what we talked about, someone will come and say, we need music, this I will be washing. So can you have that conversation so that even as you go into the term, you have already set the standard and the tone that, last term, without mentioning names, we had some few Ds. I want at least, for us to be able to raise to another level. So, you just creating that expectation. What do you expect from the learners? And even you as the administrator, and I know we have some administrators here, Suzy, you play a management role in the organization, in the school that you are, just sitting down with the teachers and saying, we reviewed the last term and how it was now, and setting the tone for this new term. So the teachers are coming into the school and into the new term with expectation. Some schools will actually meet with the teachers during the holiday. Maybe 1 week to the holiday, maybe tomorrow is Friday. So some schools meet with all the teachers like tomorrow and set the tone for the new term. So that when they come on Monday or Tuesday, they are aware of what they need to do. They are aware of, these are the expectations that the school has of us. And then now you as a teacher, you have the overall expectation from the management. Now you setting the expectation of your student in class. That is very important. Then request, make clear and specific request. Could we ensure everyone has a chance to speak by taking turns? So even like say you're having a discussion, a group discussion in class, maybe you have done a lesson, and then you're just setting the tone that now we are going to have a discussion, but will you ensure that everyone has a chance to speak by taking turns? Remember, every time we don't set clear foundation for engagement with kids or anyone, then you'll be having those kids that speak more, and those kids that don't speak being sitting at the back or sitting back. And so what you are doing, you're actually entrenching that culture. So term itaisha, ula ongeangi, or even in the staff room. But when you create an environment where everybody speaks, everybody takes turns. And even put, like, we have 20 minutes. In these 20 minutes, I'll give a chance to, we are 10, for example, in class, or we are 15. I'll give a chance to, 2 minutes, 1 minute to each one of you to be able to share their concerns and all this. Then we'll have 5 minutes to, finish the conversation. Those are very important cultures. And also it enhances the well-being of the learners. And also when it's part of, creating that outer peace, that conducive environment within the school. So this, again, there are other, you can come around, a number of other things. There are different pillars of nonviolent communication. Compassion is very key, and this involves empathetic and caring towards other suffering. And you remember we talked about empathetic, having empathy when you are listening. So compassionate communication seeks to elevate pain and promote well-being by offering understanding, support, and kindness. It encourages a deep sense of that, empathy and that connectedness within the group. And how do you practice this? Offer support or assistance when a learner is in need, for example. Offer that assistance, in a way that, it's very appropriate. be patient and gentle in your communication. Be very patient and gentle in your communication. And show kindness and care in all interaction. Remember self-awareness. Remember who you are and how to regulate your emotions. And we'll be talking about emotional regulation more and more through engagement. Respect. If you want your fellow teacher to respect you, if you are a head teacher and you want your teachers to respect you, if you are a class teacher and you want other teachers to respect you, even the learners or the parents, it's important that you also start valuing their feelings as well, and the needs and perspective. Respect creates a safe space for open, open dialogue. It creates that environment where people can be able to speak openly, and it will not be used against them. You will not victimize them. When you had meetings, so you are calling a teacher, when you had meeting, you're the one inciting others to do this and this. No, you create that respect. And how do you practice this? Listen actively without interrupting. And you have seen listening is a very fundamental aspect. Validate your learners or your teachers' feelings and experiences. Maintain a non-judgmental attitude all the time. It's very important. Then the third one is understanding. And this just goes beyond hearing words. It involves, again, empathy, comprehending the emotions, and getting the exact words that are being said. The words behind those, the emotions and the needs behind those words. And it means trying to see situations from the other's perspective and recognizing the experiences. And I hear, some teachers say, me, and even adults, not even teachers, that, you are sharing your emotions here. Do you know what you have gone through? Do you know how you grew up? Now, that is invalidating someone's experience. Even in this workshop, the way we are, Beryl has a very different, experience from John Mark, from Pius, all of us, even the way I work with Grace. She has a whole different experience from me. So if I'll be going to invalidate and saying there is nothing like that, you cannot, this thing cannot make you cry. So it's invalidating those emotions and those experiences, which sometimes it creates a very unsafe environment. And how do you practice this? Ask clarifying questions to gain deeper insight. Reflect on what you hear to ensure accurate understanding, and also empathy by acknowledging the emotions. Remember how many times since we started this, we have talked about empathy. So empathy is everything. There are so many people that are not empathetic. And empathy is very critical in our development, in our professional development, in our relationship at home and everything. Then acceptance. Acceptance offers that inclusive environment. Everyone feels valued, acknowledging and embracing differences and uniques of each individual. You have to acknowledge and accept that your students are not the same. Student A is different from student B. Student B is different from student C. And that acknowledging is very important. So you need in your classroom to embrace diversity and differing viewpoints. Like, for example, you could not just, say, why is this one performing so well and you are not performing, yet you're in the same class? And I hear that a lot from teachers. Those are questions we used to be asked in our class, when we are students. And even still, today when you're in sessions and all that. So you having that is very critical. Understanding all that is very critical. And then, avoid trying to impose your beliefs or solutions on the learners. So don't impose your beliefs, that this is what you believe in. There is this notion that we always say that, boys don't cry, because you are raised up in such a system where you are told boys do not cry or boys do not cry in front of girls. So you are trying to impose that on the kids. Then you're having kids that cannot open up to situations. They cannot share their feelings openly. And you're even coming up with solutions for them instead of creating that environment where the learners can be able to talk about their solutions. Then recognize and honor individual differences among your learners. It's very important. Create that. Recognize that and honor those differences among your learners. Then appreciate. And this just expressing gratitude for positive qualities, manners, and all that. It helps to build positive relationship, but focusing on strength and contribution rather than, you focusing on what the learners did not do, what the teachers did not do. Appreciation encourages supportive and uplifting atmosphere. This term is over, but you now, coming in and say, I really appreciate you teachers. If you are the administrator, I really appreciate you teachers. If you are the head of, you have any position of authority in school or in your workplace, I really appreciate what we achieved. We had set target, we did not achieve our target, but we worked hard. It's a work in progress. Acknowledging their contribution and having that gratitude and all that. Regularly express gratitude for learners' contribution. If a learner has contributed, or hata amekuja ameshare a formula, don't, some teachers will feel intimidated, like, where did this learner learn, about this formula? Just, inviting them to share more and appreciating them, yesterday you behaved well, this term, you are clean, even when the term ends, just telling a learner, this term, you have been very clean, and all those kind of things, be very active, and I appreciate you so much. Highlight those positive aspects of your learner's behavior and character. Very important, very, very important. Encourage a culture of mutual appreciation. You could even say at the end of the term, what you'll be doing in our classes is, we'll be appreciating each other. Is there something that someone did so nice to you in this class that you like to appreciate? Create that culture. Instead of a culture in your watoto wametoka wamekasirikiana and those kind of things. So you're creating a culture where, kids are able to appreciate each other. Kids are able to appreciate their, different teachers. This teacher helped me to deal with this. This teacher helped me to deal with this. So and that is leadership. And that's leadership. You are creating emotional intelligence. Kids that are emotionally intelligent. Kids that know who they are. And also teachers that, understand who they are and understand their position and their contribution in the institution. So those elements are very important. Sawa sawa. Any question?
I think, Charles, if I may just put a comment. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, on the point number 5, I think that is where it all stands. And every time teachers, we have used a negative method of appreciation, and you will also only find that those children who are doing well are the only ones that are being appreciated in the positive way. But we when you look at it, you find that appreciation is very, very important to each and every child, because all these children are not the same. And even in terms of behavior, we have to embrace a positive culture of appreciation and even change of behavior. We can even use the behavior charts just to make sure that each and every child feels included and involved in everything that they are doing, so that we don't have children who feel like, no, I'm not part of it, I'm left out, and such a things of those sorts.
Exactly. Thank you so much. That's a very good example. Thank you, Alfayo. Anyone else? Anyone else? Grace, do we have anything in the chat? Let's see.
No.
Yeah, yeah. Anyone else? Anyone else who has a thought? Great. So yeah, I really want to appreciate each one of you, for you have given us a very interactive session. Yesterday and today has been a very good session for us. And also, if you have any question, any suggestion, any way that you'd like us to improve, especially And I've seen that this has been one of the most successful virtual engagement that we have had for children for this program. And we want to invite you to be able to, support us, just support this program more and for us to be able to learn. And I know Grace has been, is your go-to person, and you have been discussing a lot of things in terms of how to improve our engagement and how to improve, the way we'll be working next term. So I want to invite Grace to, to give us the next steps, and also if there is any logistical housekeeping and all those kind of things. But from my end, I want to really appreciate you, Aurelia, John Mark, Susie, Beryl, Elijah, Pius, Evans, Jeremiah, Alfayo, Edwin, Ed, for your active participation. And we also have, one of our facilitator who is here is called Ilan Bass. He's based in the UK. He could not be able to, participate actively, but he'll be there in the next session when we organize. So I hand over back to Grace. Thank you so much. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening as Grace talk to us. Grace, we are waiting for you.
Hi guys, thank you so much for your participation. Thank you for the 2 hours, the 4 hours that you have given for this. I look forward to seeing you all once you open school and after you have settled down. Of course, I'll be coming around your schools just to continue learning with you, and also just to ensure that the labs are up and running. If you need anything, please feel free to always call, to text, or to email. And yes, thank you so much for the commitment that you have shown. And for housekeeping and internet, we'll be reimbursing you 200 shillings